BoxingVoice.com live here with the trainer James Degale, Jim Mcdonnell. Jim Mcdonnell, tell us a little bit about James for us United States television viewing boxing fans. What could you tell us about your star fighter?
Yeah, basically with James, he's a guy that you'll see in this fight. He's about the bright lights and the big fights. He's when he boxed Mcdonnell and Butte, no disrespect to him, he trained hard physically, but mentally he weren't challenged. In this fight, he feels the challenge of Jack. The aspiration of winning a WBC belt is massive to him. And I've just seen the difference in physically he's trained just as hard, but mentally he's on it as well. So I think in this fight, you'll see a fully switched on James Degale and a tremendous performance.
Now you guys have been together for all his career, but for this camp, you've changed something. You've brought in a strength and conditioning coach. What sort of differences have you seen him working with a new coach?
Yeah, it's something I've always pushed for with James. I've always he was always anti it because of back in the day, like all the great fighters like Ali and that said, don't do that, don't do that. So I said, you've got to move with the times. So so basically, we've always done our own sorts of stuff with the groundwork, the strength and conditioning, but we just feel we need to up our game because he was going into fights against people like Butte and people like that who later got found out to be like using performance enhancing drugs or whatever. But the way to match that is not to follow what they do, but to show hard work and dedication. So if they're getting stronger through what they're doing, get stronger through what we're doing. So it's just a matter of, as a champion, upping your game.
Now, obviously, as a coach, you have a direction where you want to see your fighter take. Has he taken that path in this time, or are there still things that you want to see him do before he ends it?
Yeah, I think the best of James we've seen glimpses in the Brandon Gonzalez fight at Wembley. You know, he's an explosive fighter. He's also a very articulate fighter with a mindset I've never seen in a sport of boxing. Like, absolutely phenomenal what he can do. And I think you're still probably going to see the best performances of James. And I think it starts with this fight with Badou Jack, because I think I've said it before and I'll be quoted on it again. James is he's like the bright lights and the big fights, and this is a unification fight. It don't really get no bigger, and he's like absolutely buzzing. I've got to hold him back, if anything, make sure he don't leave it on the road or in the gym, because he's ready like you wouldn't believe, and he's buzzing with excitement. Christmas Day he's out on the road doing his running, and he ain't left no stone unturned. So I think mentally and physically you can see James Degale perform.
Now there's a monster in the middleweight division, and fight fans feel like Gennady Golovkin doesn't have opponents. Right now he has a fight, and it's going to be on pay-per-view, but he's an 8-1 underdog, Daniel Jacobs is. When the talk starts of Gennady Golovkin moving up, fight fans ask each other, who could beat Golovkin? Right away people mention James Degale. Is that a fight that interests you in the future, possibly Golovkin moving up and facing a James Degale? Now, we've heard Golovkin talk about moving up, but it's always been with the likes of Gilberto Ramirez or Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. or Carl Froch. Degale's name obviously isn't big enough to entice Golovkin because of his risk. But with all these titles, if he wins Saturday night, is that a fight you would like to see your pupil get?
Yeah, boxing's about risk-reward, and that's a big risk for big reward. If you just get into the boxing side of it, Gennady Golovkin's a tremendous fighter, but he's got chinks in his armour. He's got big chinks in his armour, and one of them is he'd be a very small man against a very big James Degale. And if you look at the record of James going right through from when he was a child, he's the king of the upsets. He's done it so many times. And the good thing about that fight is Golovkin would be favourite. And I've always wanted, and James has always wanted, to go into a fight as the underdog. That will give him such an oomph. And I think you'll see a performance from Degale that will surpass anything you've ever seen before. That would really motivate him. So that's the challenge with Golovkin, who's a fantastic fighter, but one I sincerely believe James will beat.
Now, thinking about that same fighter with Daniel Jacobs, could you give a boxing fan any reason why they should tune in March 18th? Why is Daniel Jacobs different from any previous Gennady Golovkin opponents?
Daniel Jacobs is a proven fighter, is a guy who believes in himself, who wants to fight. I think a lot of guys who fight Golovkin don't actually really believe they can do it. It seems with Jacobs with a build-up, I don't know the kid personally, but just reading in between the lines and talking to people around New York, he genuinely believes he's in with a good chance. So that, for me, is what makes it an interesting aspect. Someone who goes in there. It used to be the Tyson factor. I took a guy out to box Mike Tyson, and that was a guy called Danny Williams from England. Mike Tyson was just indestructible. No one could fight Mike Tyson. We was in Louisville, Kentucky. We come out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and Tyson was at the lift, and I had to push Danny Williams out the lift, and just look Tyson in the face. But from that moment forward, Danny was just on another planet. He ended up knocking Tyson out in 4 rounds, but no one gave him a chance. Boxing is 80% mental. So I don't know Danny Jacobs, but I know this: James Degale has got 100% belief he can beat any fighter in the world. Same as Floyd Mayweather's got, same as Mike Tyson had. So I don't know Daniel Jacobs, but if he's got belief, then there's no reason why he can't go and do himself proud and see what he can do.
Well, Jim, man, thank you very much. Wish you the best of luck with James Degale. Come Saturday night, we're hoping for a great fight and bigger things to come.
God willing, man. Thank you.
All right. Last thing, would you like to see him with who is it, Callum Smith or Eubank Jr.?
Do you know what? On the domestic front, they're both big fights. They've both got different tangles, and both are very good fighters, both unproven on the world stage. But fantastic fights down the road for the fans to look forward to. But I know James, he loves the challenge, so whatever one ticks his box, that's the one that'll happen. But right now, I think Callum Smith's the mandatory for the WBC, so I think it's probably the next one up.
All right, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, my friend.